Welcome to Biggest Geekus. We're your hosts. I'm Randy.
I'm Joe.
And I'm Pat.
Hey, look up. We got
Hey,
Patrick TMO.
you
This is
know?
episode. What?
No,
You
go ahead.
talking? You talking over? Hey, okay. I got to do it. Now we got to do it all over again. No, just kidding. This is episode 167 of our show. Date is Tuesday, November 28th, 2023. Take it away, Joe.
I was just going to say, sometimes when I'm listening to the intro music, it does weird things. Misses little beats are dropped or something. But then I realized I had the show running over on YouTube as well. So maybe they were stepping on each other's feet through my ear holes.
Well, you know, when you have a rockin' tune like that, you want the beat to drop.
Drop that beat. Got a good crowd tonight. Look like Legion's lurking. Got L in the house. Shadow and the Sun. Shadow and the Sun stopped by to say hello. So did Halcyon. I don't know if he's still here. Darth, Charlotte Williams, Arn Man, Hungar. Boy Point Blank in the house. All right. We got a good crew. It's pretty neat. What's up, Shadow? Oh, man. Hadn't seen him for a while. Good to see him around.
Yeah.
So, dude, we gamed our butts off this past weekend.
Yeah, 2 sessions. And I was so tired on Sunday.
Gaming's hard on old men.
Well, I worked Friday and gamed. Then I worked Saturday and gamed.
Oh, I worked Tuesday and then did nothing and gamed a couple times and then had to work on Monday. And today it was sad.
If it was even possible to send my fist through the internet, it would be aimed at you below the belt.
Oh, I would deserve it.
Yes.
But
then I got a scare from my wife.
Oh, yeah.
Not like it was the other day when I ran her to the emergency room. But,
okay.
But we just got our wires crossed. And I thought she was going to be home, and she wasn't. And I was like, where the hell is my wife?
Right.
And she was at a good place. She was at church.
Look at that. Legion of Myth. I'm a winner. I actually won on their, I don't know, was it just Discord competition? I won a sweet gift certificate to Palladium.
Yeah,
so
pretty
that's
good
exciting. I'm going to spin that stuff and get me some books I don't have.
I'm going to say, Legion, you didn't have to correct yourself.
He knew he had to. That was an honest mistake.
But it wasn't a mistake. It was,
No, he didn't mean to write winner.
Truth.
So anyway, yeah, I'm going to pick up a few things. I wonder if I could combine that with a few bucks and get the $100 thing. Don't they have what's that thing they have at Christmas? Is it $100 you got to spend? Patrick, do you know?
Palladium?
Yeah, Palladium has
two of these.
Good, like a Christmas bag or mixed bag.
Yeah, it's something like that. And then you give a list of
60.
Palladium says $60. That sounds right.
Okay.
Then you give Santa Kevin your list of possible books or merch that you want, and then
Christmas bundle. Yeah.
He goes through and handpicks whatever from your list.
It's only $60, so I got enough to get that. That's cool. Very exciting. Get me a pile of crap that I don't have. Yeah. So we played Horde Wars Friday, Joe.
We did.
On Gilded.
We did. That was fun.
Let's see. We played with DM Blackwall ran us, and we had me and you. Did Larry play in that one? Larry Elliott?
No, he originally thought he would be able to, but had to bow out.
Right. Yeah. So we had a couple other guys. Like Tim Scott played, and we had another guy, Brian, and we had a really good time. Joe and I enjoyed getting our faces kicked in by a bunch of ogres. Woo!
I was tired and wasn't into tactics. I was just like, yeah, let's just go attack.
I don't know, dude. That was a tough fight.
Well, 4 dudes against
7 ogres.
Was it just 7?
Well, they had a leader and 6, I think.
Okay. Well, there were 2 more that an NPC kind of teased and drew out that we didn't have to deal with.
Yeah, but it was a good time though. Looks like Shadow said, "Nice collection there, Patrick." He's almost jealous.
That's well, thank you, but that's only half the room.
Yeah.
And all of my gaming books are downstairs.
Yeah. Homie's got a bunch of stuff. David Gwill. Too bad we didn't have an ogre slaying knife. That would have been nice.
Martha's apologizing. I feel sorry for my mailman, adding me because I'm a mailman.
Mm-hmm.
Very masculine, manly person.
Super male, dude.
I just ordered like 11 game books that will be about 50 pounds. I'm so excited.
I'm sure he is too. He's probably thrilled to carry that.
You know, some letter carriers are real stuck on that title because that's our title, letter carrier.
Yep.
One said, I'm a letter carrier, not a package carrier. I'm like, whatever.
Okay.
Like
You make so much money for menial labor.
Right.
I mean, that's what we do. We carry things and put them in. We carry things from one place to another place. It's not complicated.
Right. And then Saturday we had kind of almost an impromptu. I said, "Hey guys, you want to play the game?" And we sat down and we ran that. We changed initiative around, ran kind of a mud sword OSE thing. It's really not OSE anymore. It's just kind of mud swordy, and
it's only going to get more muddy as we go along.
It is, and we did the around the table clockwise initiative, and I was happy with it. We didn't get a lot of fights in, but it was still a pretty cool session. So.
Right.
But anyway, so did you get to game this past week, Patrick?
Actually, no, we had to skip this week.
Boo.
Yeah, but the Adrians, their kitty, I think, is on his last legs.
Oh,
Temmie.
no. Gotcha. So no gaming. Would it have been the 5e game or would it have been?
It would have been the 5e game.
Okay. All right.
I'm sorry.
Oh man, I played with Greg in 5e. He's pretty good with it. He's got his own little tricks and spins and stuff. So,
is it the same one that you and a few others do? They're like, "Hey, do we get a long rest?" No. Shut up about the long rest. You don't get anything back.
I think we're going to kick Mac Thompson off the show. He's decided to trade all his OG stuff in for the new 6e books coming out. I think he's tricking us.
He just lost nerd cred right there.
He lost major nerd
Surely
cred.
You jest.
He does. Mac don't roll like that. Honestly, if he does, that's cool. Whatever he wants to do, but I wouldn't. What is up, Mr. Boivan? He's in the house. Green Apple's in the house. Mac.
Mr. Max.
Mr. Max Boivan, yeah. Different than Legion, so quite a... He also has a community bread spin and layaway too.
That is funny.
Flady's saving his money for 70. So got some smooth operators out there doing their thing.
Oh, good point, David. What 6 ebooks?
Yeah, they're gonna just be
all digital. You got to pay
ones
for
and
a
O's,
subscription
ones and
service.
O's.
He can use his money to buy a subscription for a few months. So, oh yeah, true. L says we got Max, Mr. Max. Say that 5 times.
Yeah.
Anyway, so why don't we jump into the first segment unless you want to talk about something else?
Well, we are here to talk about gaming. So
we are. So Patrick had bounced this idea off me in a text, and I thought it sounded pretty good. We were going to have him on the show anyway, and I want to talk about making a challenging game, and even if that's important, right? So usually the first thing that comes up to people's minds when we think challenge, especially since 3rd edition, is what? CR, right?
CR.
And most people, who needs CR? So CR versus like just random tables completely, or encounters to fit the adventure / story. Heaven forbid I say the word story. But I'm going to say it. I write railroads. That's how it is. So, but is that where you begin? If you want to have a challenging game, you got to start with is that where you begin? Do you start at the monsters? Do you start at the encounters? Or do you start somewhere else?
I'm not sure where else you would start. I mean, you could start with a concept. If you're talking about creating an RPG, or if you're talking about just creating a night's worth of gaming,
Yep.
That's two different things.
Yeah, I'm thinking. Okay, I guess in this case, I'm thinking more of the game environment. So when you think about, if you're making the game, and again, we'll go from the mud sword part. How challenging do you want it to be to the play? Are you? There's another question. Are you challenging the players? Or are you challenging the characters?
Well, you got to do
And
both.
how are okay?
You got to do both.
I think you should. Yep.
Because in challenging the players, there's not a whole lot challenging about rolling a die. Now, if we're talking about tactics or figuring out puzzles or something like that, there you're challenging the player.
Mm-hmm.
Also situational, you might challenge them and trick them into barging in head first, and then you're like, ha ha ha, you're all dead because you weren't careful. I guess that's more tactics, but then on the other side is challenging the characters, and that's stuff that is going to be hard for them to overcome, which can be hard to get a gauge on.
Yep.
Especially for early DMs. So,
yep.
Right. So I think you go that way.
And okay.
How tough are the monsters?
Yeah.
Well, not just the monsters. How tough are the things that challenge the characters? So the monsters, the traps, the environment.
Are they facing life or death? Right.
Right.
I mean, whenever you fight an ogre, I guess, are you got to be worried about him splitting your head wide open, or is it going to be you're going to be knocked out for a little while and you come back?
Right.
What do you think, Patrick? Where do you start with the challenges?
I'd start with what game do you really want to play?
Okay.
I know some people live for the whole I'm a fighter and I still only have a handful of hit points, and like anything can kill me at a moment's notice.
Right.
Some people just absolutely live for that, hardcore punish me.
Yeah.
And then some people, they lose a couple hit points and they start crying to the cleric.
Right.
And
I think they got to run back to town.
If they lose their character or they die, it's like a life or death situation for real.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess some of that can be placed on the system itself. Like, for example, if I die in like Savage Worlds, okay, I guess I'm going to take a 15-minute break and I'll come back with a new character.
Mm-hmm.
If I die in Rollmaster in one of the 1001 ways to die in that game, I'm going to be a little pissed off because that's, I take out the rest of the evening. I'll have a character done by next week.
Right.
And I think if you want a deadlier game, you're going to want a game that's quick and easy with making characters. Either that, or you just pull a gamers and bring like 50 versions of your bard with you. And then when one dies, just toss that one away, take out a new one.
Okay, so...
or just multiple characters. Yeah.
Well, so could you, though, come to the table with more than one character? Be prepared that death could happen. If the DM says, or if the game is such that you could die. Like in first edition, you could have a 10 hit point fighter. You get smoked. Very first
Easy.
outing.
Right.
So, I mean, you better have another one. You could have a pimped out 35 point build, Pathfinder, or 3.5, BA, Goliath warrior, and I could kill you with one spell and not even be high level. You could fail a will save, fight the whole party, you murder half the party, or they murder you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we played at CabinCon, we played for years a campaign in which we all had like 10 characters to play all at once. So, if your game demands that you bring more than one character to the table, that shouldn't really be an issue. Just, be prepared if the time comes to lose one.
Sure.
Yeah, Boivin makes a good point here. But before I go to that, I want to say Arnman says if it takes more than a half hour to create a character, then dying is not fun. A lot of people think that, but you could also be prepared. I like what Boivin says here, though. Is challenging always the same as lethal? What other ways can we make a game more challenging in a way that is fun? And I think you can. Challenge doesn't have to be combat lethal. It could be challenge. I don't know how I would do tactically challenging, but I could do a challenge in terms of discovering things. You could have a exploration challenge.
Parties can be defeated very easily in non-combat situations.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, total party wipe
Mhm.
doesn't necessarily have to mean everybody dies. It may just mean that the objective of the campaign you were doing, sorry, you didn't make it.
Yeah. Well, you
Sure.
could have a challenging one where maybe like even the foe is particularly annoying, that he's very good at escaping your clutches, and so the DM could have a villain that does that. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Joe?
I think that one, it depends on who you have at the table with you,
Okay.
right? The makeup of your table. If you guys like combat, if you like killing the monsters, then you gear that for the table. But you can make it so that the challenge isn't just in who does the most hit point damage first.
Mm-hmm.
I love having combat in the game, but
Me
I
too.
also like avoiding combat because I think it's cool when
Yep.
you can come up with creative ways to circumvent combat scenarios that Randy has spent 5 hours getting together. And then I'm like, yeah, we'll go around here
Dirty
and
scum.
circumvent this thing and don't even have to do it. And
I know Joe loves doing that. He's like, because he loves it. If he goes, you meant for us to do that and fight that, didn't you? And I'm like, yeah, shut up. Yeah, so that's true. He does do that. Charlotte Williams chimes in. She says, one challenge might be political intrigue and consequences. Players might back the wrong nobleman and find themselves accused of inciting a civil war. Yeah, you could do that. Or I a lot of times it's too old hat for me to do much anymore. Have the NPC, be the guy that hires them and seems to be really nice, and in the end he screws them. They were waiting for that this weekend. It didn't turn out that way, though.
yeah, we don't know about that at all.
Yeah.
Not just from you. Other DMs are like, the favorite thing to do is make the fellow that hired you be the bad guy.
Do mechanics have to inform this? I mean, when you're playing the game, I think maybe it was Boivin who said. I mean, well, I'm saying like, where did Boivin make a comment earlier?
There are games out there that codify intrigue rules.
Yeah, like here he says, a complex system could be challenging to use, but that may not be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
I
good
agree
point.
with that.
That's a good point. Yeah. So the challenge for the DM, I always think in terms of fights, as far as like a challenging game. I guess I was thinking the other day as I was working out, I was like, I hate to say this, and I know it's hard. You can't plan it this way, but I love when the party barely wins. Actually, I love when you think you barely won. Does that make sense? We're like, you guys won, but you were sweating it a little bit.
Sure.
When the players make comments like, man, if that hadn't happened, I thought we were dead meat. That's
it does
good.
make victory seem a little sweeter.
Yeah.
Sure. Because, I mean, sometimes you want to flex and kick the goblins in the face, and it's easy, but those aren't the more meaningful fights.
No, and I struggled with in 3.5 and late 3.5 in that Seven Spheres game. I really pushed the combat challenge to the next level, to where and you guys, to your credit, you didn't complain much till after the campaign, and I wouldn't call it complaining. You were talking about, man, it's stressful. Every single fight is like we have to use all of our resources to succeed. You have to burn through everything that you have in every single fight. And I thought that was cool. That was exciting, but you guys didn't get much of a breather,
Right.
And you almost never got layups, a chance to just flex your muscles.
No. And you know what? We didn't get any. I don't know how you considered that in assigning experience,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that a group that goes through super challenging, nail biting encounters, Mission Impossible level, you're sweating bullets the whole time, that's worth more experience than the cakewalk.
I agree. Well, what if the cakewalk comes from a smart move on the player's part?
Correct.
Is it still not worth the same amount of experience points? Like your favorite avoid the fight with the basilisk because he's not really part of the goal. We circumvented the basilisk because we knew he was there. We figured out he was there and nobody got turned to stone.
It may not be worth the same.
Okay.
It may not. I think it would be situational.
Okay.
Right. Because if, let's say, you were able to get through an entire adventure by circumventing the most dangerous stuff, is that really a test of your mettle? Right. If it is, then yeah, maybe they do get extra.
But your mettle, your metal's part of your ingenuity too, though, right?
Perhaps. It all depends on how challenging it was to do all that stuff.
Okay.
So if it's set up in such a way that it's kind of obvious how to get around this particular thing, then that wasn't challenging. But if you really had to do a lot of thinking and planning to do the circumventing, well, maybe it is worth more.
Boivan says challenge implies win and loss conditions, especially lost. So how do we vary loss conditions? Well, that's it, right? Is it a loss because you had to fight the basilisk that you could have circumvented it and you didn't? I don't know. Is the result?
That would be minor. That would be minor.
Well, is it? Well, unless he kills half the party.
Well, that's definite loss.
And losing could be a valuable experience.
Yeah, could be if you survived the loss.
Right. What do you think, Patrick? What's a good way to gauge what that challenge is?
Before you answer, Patrick, I'm going to say one thing more. And a lot of this is subjective.
No, whatever I say is objective, truth and reality. But go ahead. I agree, Joe.
I suppose you can gauge challenge on like variable win and loss conditions. And not all losses have to be like party doesn't survive like a huge encounter. You may have to like rescue the king from a rival kingdom who's about to execute him, and if you don't make it in time, there are some big consequences. You know, losing your king, it may reshape the entire, it will reshape the entire game world, and maybe the rewards aren't so great if you let the king die, but it will kind of light a fire under some players' asses to maybe expedite their rescue attempt.
Thank you.
We heard that Joe said thank you.
You're welcome.
David Will says, losing your king, eh? I didn't vote for him. Yeah, nobody did. That's the cool thing about being a king.
Right. He also says, even if you die, it's a learning experience for the players. My kids have learned a lot through character death and near death. Yeah. You learn what works and what doesn't work.
So
or what can work and what is maybe not so good.
So that's right. So a game that's like high death count could be a learning experience.
Now,
like, it makes players have to be more crafty.
In our Horde Wars game Friday night, we, a small party of mostly non-frontline fighty types, decided to do a frontal assault on a fortress full of ogres.
That was dumb.
Yeah,
why do we do that?
And the DM let us know that, hey, you're really doing well for a frontal assault that you probably shouldn't have done.
Right.
Because we were all. I mean, we hit 0 hit points multiple times.
Yep.
We luckily had enough resources to get everybody back on their feet and run off.
I think Brian's orc was the only one that didn't go down to 0.
Right. But multiple times.
He got
So yeah,
smashed.
we had to retreat, regroup, and reassault. Is that a word?
Reassault. It was that night.
Yeah. But so you could say that the first half of that was a loss because we had to run. But we did turn it around by actually doing a good plan.
Yes, Al, he did. He said, Joe said, just full frontal ogre, full frontal assault. But yeah. So challenges. We listed several: the political, the challenge of the story, the mission that's vital. Fights can be challenging. Heck, and you can challenge the player to get better tactically. You can challenge the player's mind with a complex system, right?
I was just going to add, what about system complexity or
System mastery.
Yeah,
That's a big topic.
Is that something that people want to worry about? I mean,
Some
a lot
do.
of folks these days like really simple games that require little in the realm of mastery of the system. That doesn't mean you don't need to worry about at the table using tactics and using your head.
No.
It's more a matter of
mastering the mechanics.
Yeah, the mechanics, and if it's essentially just rolling a d20, adding your mods and running with it, then that there's not a whole lot of mastery in that. There's more mastery in a lot of these systems in the volume of game material, as in the build game for your character, because there's 500 classes and 10,000 spells and more feats than you can count on everybody's fingers and toes on the planet. And we know what game systems those are.
Yes.
Pathfinder 1, I don't know, they probably don't have too much material at this point for 2, but Pathfinder 1 and 3.5 both had more material than you can shake a stick at, and probably should be in a single system.
So did second edition, but you didn't, for some reason, because there are a lot of disconnected things with psionics and Kryn magic being different.
Well, I don't think there was the
it wasn't all
push
connected.
for it all to be homogenized into
No.
one thing. In 3.5, everybody for some reason assumed that all the books applied all the time.
Yes.
And same thing with Pathfinder.
What do you guys think is a good balance?
What's that?
What do you guys think is a good balance with, like, crunch of a system? I've seen some games where it's so simple that the entire combat comes down to like a single die roll, and then the results of the battle are interpreted by that single die roll. Some role-playing games are like everything has 1 hit point and combat is determined within like 30 seconds.
Yes.
Then there's like Rollmaster, where each and every action requires the rolling of like 4 different tables. Now, I'm not a fan of like Rollmaster style complexity, but I'm also really not gelling with the everything has 1 hit point and combat is determined within 30 seconds. It's like if I want to play a game, I want to experience a little bit of combat, not like 4-hour combats like some games get into, but something where I can go through a couple of rounds, I can make some decisions on what to do, and combat you can kind of feel each and every punch of the combat.
Right.
I think everybody's. Go ahead, Joe.
Go ahead.
I think every person's going to have their own opinion. I like, to me, the complexity level of 13th Age is almost perfect. Savage Worlds 2, though it feels a little samey. Sometimes you only get so many choices that I think are truly viable. I would like something in the middle. And I don't mind any TSR edition of D&D because you just throw out the crap you don't want to use. 3.5 feels a little more onerous because you have to follow the rules. But for me, 13th Age is kind of a sweet spot. You make some choices. You have some things that are not, much different. The big drawback is it's so well balanced that most combats are predictable.
Yeah, and it eschews the randomness, and in my opinion, the imaginary living feel of a campaign world when you can't just walk around and explore, because how would that look in 13th Age?
Yep.
You don't have random encounter tables. I mean, you probably could make some,
Yep.
but the characters aren't really even built for operating in that fashion.
Which might be good. When we said that the other night, it got me thinking I should throw random encounters in the 13th Age game and make players sweat it out. That's how they might sweat, because they got to burn resources.
Right. And with games like that, though, sometimes it comes down to, I can calculate how many combats I can be before we require a long rest. It's like I can go through X number of combats and spend X number of resources. I know I do this much damage per round, and when you can truly predict how combat outcome is, I think it takes away some of the fun of the game.
But for complexity, 13th Age is a sweet spot.
It is a sweet spot. There is something to say for those times when just on one given night, just even a random encounter, by the end of it, it's like, what the hell was that? I had to use all of my spells available.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a group of goblins. Goblins, man.
Funny you said that. We had a heck of a goblin fight a few weeks ago. But L said something, I think, being kind of funny, but I think he's not wrong. An extreme is a board game. That's ultimate rules, and they can be simple, but they can also be super complex. LARP being the other end. I think I'm not in the middle. I lean toward the LARP end. Meaning, when I say that, what I mean is, for me, I don't want a game that's got too much stuff that I have to manage. Now, if on the player's side, they got all these toys that they can mess with that doesn't affect me knowing every little way how they build their character, then I'm good with it. I don't care how complex
because if you're saying that next game session with you, I'm going to have to come in costume and carry Nerf weapons, I'm out.
Right. So I agree with that. I think at the table, the DM doesn't need to have 50 million rules to fiddle with. But I lean more to the mechanics side than the story side. So I want more mechanics than 13th Age has. And I like 13th Age, but it's gotten a little bit stale as far as samey.
It kind of tells one story, even if you can make our buddy Dave is really good at making combats challenging, but they still kind of end up the same.
Right. And the other thing is that system favors the characters, the player characters.
Yes, too much.
In a lot of ways. And
too much.
I think the system, for it to be challenging, shouldn't care.
You said that, Joe. So
it should not favor one or the other. It should just say,
but you don't mean a coin toss. You don't mean a coin toss.
No, I don't mean a coin toss. A coin toss.
Toin toss. A little known toin toss. What's a toin? But don't toss it.
What I mean is the system in 13th Age offers lots of advantages to the player characters. With the what are the big guys? Icon relationships, right?
Oh yeah, the icon relationships. Yeah, that's get out of jail free cards. Not really, but a lot of people use them that way.
Right. So that's the big one. Plus, I think that the power dynamic is skewed a little bit in the favor of the players, and you've got the escalation die that does the same thing. The longer the battle lasts, the more bonuses that the characters get. And there's a lot of things that are eschewed that are in favor of the character. You don't have to worry about encumbrance.
Nope.
You don't have to worry about money.
Nope. Money is not a thing.
Because you're working for the icons in some way. You can look at that as a social benefit because, they're the heroes and everybody already knows it. You don't have to really even necessarily prove it. All you have to do is what they say.
Well, yeah, and your characters, like you said, you have the escalation die, you have the icon relationships, you even have the ability to, like, all the rerolls that can come into play with certain character classes really can throw things way off.
Right.
And as the escalation die gets better, you're going to hit anyway. But then you get a reroll on top of it. That's crazy. Yes, Mac, it is kind of a commie game. Mac says money isn't a thing. Is it a commie
It's not
game?
that it isn't a thing, but it's not a consideration.
Yeah, it's really
Or
not
at
that
all.
big of a consideration. You don't build keeps. At least they don't have that built in. There's room you could do that. I mean, if you wanted to, you could do all kinds
I
of
like
crap.
Flady's comment about fatigue being an issue the longer a combat lasts. I've seen very, very few games actually do that. Have some sort of thing that makes, the longer a battle lasts, the more fatigue you get from the combat.
13
because-
days. 13 days is the opposite.
Opposite. Because you would think that instead of getting bonuses to hit, you would get penalties because you're getting tired. But I mean, how would you do that? I don't think you would start like with 13th age. It's like second round or third round. You start the second round because
You get the +1, then +2,
plus
then
one.
+3. Yeah.
I don't think fatigue should set in the second round of combat,
No.
but 3 or 4 in, because I mean, I've sparred, and just sparring with nothing in your hands but your hands, in a dojo,
Mm-hmm.
you can work up a sweat really fast, under a minute, and you're blowing wind. And it's just, especially if you're not in particularly good shape. But I think that could add a complication a lot of people wouldn't like. It would add to the death spiral aspect of the game. Or it could add a death spiral to the game. And a lot of people don't like death spirals.
Mr. Boivan has got an idea for fatigue and his core mechanics of Winter Dawn. So does David Gwill. So maybe we'll see one soon. So when you're thinking about a challenging game, and Patrick used this word, so I'm going to ask him to clarify. What do you consider a meat grinder?
A little bit like the gauntlets from like Dungeon Crawl Classics, where you are literally required to bring like so many characters to the table. And if you start a campaign, you are not expected to have the same character by the end of it. You're not expected to have your 10th character, by the end of it. A game where every single combat is a massive fight for your life, and you're probably going to lose.
Well, I don't know I know the funnel is a very unique experience. You're playing pre-adventurer characters. You're like, the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker, literally. And you funnel them out till you get a single character. Yeah.
Yeah, but the funnel only happens once at the start of the campaign.
And that's if you want to. You could start at first. And even at first level, though, I would say this. I think DCC has potential to be that way because it's so swingy. That was something I wanted to talk about, too, was the swinginess of games. Is that a challenge or is that just frustrating? If a game like Savage Worlds can be surprisingly swingy at times, but not all the time. Sometimes you're doing pretty good, then wham, something crazy happens.
I'd say for me, it's more of an irritant, because while I understand that characters may die, after a while, I'm not going to put anything into making characters. They're just going to be paper dolls with numbers written on them.
Yeah.
After a while,
It
It's like,
discourages
why-
caring about role
yeah.
playing. Yeah. But you don't feel that in Savage Worlds, or do you in Rollmaster? I think Rollmaster's swingy.
Yeah, it can be. I remember one time we're pretty seasoned characters, and our friend Alejandro got like beheaded in combat, and we thought it was hilarious that Joyce, my wife, just happened to have a cleric with all the right spells to put his head back on and bring him back to life. But I mean, that game, it's like, oh yeah, I have the stitch muscle and bone spell, and then I have the attach nerve spell, and then life giving, life preserving, issue embarrassment.
So with that in mind, so if we're going to think about avoiding the I mean, some games though, like think about the adventure Rapana Folk or Tomb of Horrors. That's a classic, right? Some people really like that though. What's up, Real Long Shot? Glad you're here.
You're gonna find somebody that likes anything. You build it, they will come. But yeah, you'll find somebody who likes anything. Some people are gaming masochists, and if that's for them, yeah, fine. I just don't think it's my cup of tea.
So continuity is big. So having a character you play over a long period of time.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean that I have to have plot armor. It just means that if I'm gonna have this character, I'm gonna try to have this character. I mean, if he dies due to misadventure, I'm fine with that. It's a consequence of the game. But if it's like I'm bringing out a new character every single session, after a while, it's just like this isn't fun anymore.
Yeah, if you die all the time. Is that what you mean? If your chances of dying, if you lose 6, 7, 8 characters in a campaign, it's less than.
Yeah,
because you can't connect with one of your characters. It's really hard to get into him as this is my dude, my tune, my avatar in this world, right? And you're not really learning to play him. You're just rolling dice, and yeah, that was the one thing that was interesting about the Elysium campaign we ran at CaptainCon. You could die a lot, but you came back. In fact, you would. You should expect in the arena to die a lot. Everybody, I think, died multiple times, except Joe's Butch. He never died. No, you died some too. Everybody died some.
Everybody did some.
Yeah, and that wasn't the worry. It was like, damn it, I lost, but it wasn't like my dude's gone. And you get to keep playing him and try again and try to get better. And part of that was good. That can mitigate a game that allows a lot of death. I agree with Mac. 0 level is fun once. It gets old after a few times, for sure. I wanted to talk about
even low level gets old.
Yeah, Joe gets really weary of that. Playing first level, we have blitzed through the levels in our campaign. I gave you guys 6 level the other day. You guys leveled up quite a bit, so we just don't have the time to play the low levels. Well, let me rephrase it. We've done it enough. We're sick of it.
Yeah,
we like to
moving
on to cool stuff. Yeah, but anyway, that's a different story. I wanted to give who was it? Point Blank made a comment. He wants to defend 13th Age. He says, I disagree. The challenge of 13th Age is mitigating your resources throughout 4 battles. That's the challenge. Yeah, I mean, you've talked about how you've challenged your players. I've seen that some, but it seems like maybe we're doing it wrong. It seems like players find some way. That's not really the issue. No matter how low their resources are, they tend to pull it out in the end.
Right. And, Point Blank's view of it is entirely valid.
Sure. And maybe he's running it right. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, to be fair.
Why 4 battles? It's weird.
Yeah, 4 battles is weird, an abstraction.
But I guess it's a gamey. That's a gamey point of view. So
I suppose it cuts out the 10-minute workday.
Which is part of the challenge. Killraven's the man after my own heart. I prefer PC death to be very possible, but fairly rare and likely permanent when it happens. Yes.
I can gel with that.
Not that you can't. Likely permanent doesn't mean it will be, but your levels 1 to 8, you're probably not going to be. You're not going to be resurrecting anybody. I would modify Max Thompson's comment. He says, "We're old and seasoned adventurers. We deserve to start at 8th level from now on." No, we're old and seasoned players. We've done level 1 enough. I'm tired of it.
Mhm.
It's not that we won't start, but it's got to go fast. Ha!
You saw it too?
Yeah.
Legion says, I prefer player death to character death.
That's my dude.
That's dark. That's dark.
That's dark. I'm down with that. It's right on. Yeah, it does say that point blank. And I think
I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm just saying it's an odd number.
It's an odd choice to just pick 4 battles, but we said we played it a lot too. I think we just maybe had our fill of it, to be fair.
And it's odd to put it. It's odd to put it in my opinion, from a game design point of view. I understand that's what the rule is. I'm just saying it's weird. It's a weird rule.
Yeah.
4 battles and you get a full rest.
Yeah, I think
even if your 4 battles happen over a month, I mean,
you get 1 full rest.
1 full rest. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Mac Thompson says, and this is probably to everybody in the chat, what do you all consider your best, favorite heavy RP, medium light combat fantasy game? So heavy RP, medium light combat.
Everything is heavy RP. If you want it to be. Oh, I mean, unless the rules specifically say you don't RP at this table. I don't understand that.
I don't know. Pathfinder likes to put in a lot of rules about how to role play and who to role play with.
or what you can have at your table, apparently. I heard that on Ryan David's podcast today.
Oh, they have a checklist of things you need at the table.
Oh, really?
Oh, like the X card need?
Wheelchair.
No,
contracts.
There you go. You got to hit your diversity quota. You can't just play with your friends. You got to go out and get token people to play with.
Right.
I guess I'm being a little bit pedantic. So yeah, design more for RP. So those are usually rules light, and have more rules for interaction and maybe even more roles. And maybe it's not rules light. Maybe it's just they got a lot more mechanics that involve NPC, PC, talkie, which is fine.
Mac, would it be fair to say like Vampire might be that kind of game? RP heavy, combat more, rules light.
I don't know how light the rules are in Vampire. They're moderate, I think. But I do think the game is meant to be, you're supposed to explore your emotions.
Yeah, it's very,
Kinda. Okay.
Kinda. I mean, I think that's true. Yeah, I'm not a big fan. I don't mind. I could play a game. Now, Joe wouldn't. I could play a game where we hardly had a fight. I could role play a lot, but you got to have the right group. And not everybody would enjoy that. Our group, what do I normally want? I probably want a medium to heavy combat game, but I also want medium to heavy role play. I want characters to get into it.
We once played a Deadlands game where one session was there was no combat. It was entirely a role play session, and we actually had fun.
Deadlands is perfect for heavy RP, low combat. I would say Savage Worlds is perfect because if you have too many combats in one session of Savage Worlds without getting period.
It's so swingy. You have a bunch of them, you're all going to die at some point.
Yeah, especially fights with guns and machine guns. Yeah, somebody's going to get killed.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Do you guys prefer challenging the characters to the players? Let me rephrase that. If you're going to play in a game, do you want your characters challenged more than you?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know if I like one over the other or one more than the other. I don't know. That's a good question.
There is something nice about being challenged as a player where you got to keep yourself on your toes.
Sure.
But there's also, you're like, well, I got a really strong fighter. Why don't you let him show it?
Yeah.
Why does it have to be, all this, solve this puzzle, figure this political intrigue out? How come it can't be roll
Sometimes
a strength?
you want your character to just put their head down and swing their sword.
Or can I roll a strength check?
Yeah.
Let me show you how strong I am.
Yeah.
I guess I'm going to be pithy and have my answer be, I just want my players to have fun. I really do.
I want them to hate every second, but can't leave because they're tied down.
That's because you, Randy.
Rope or chains, probably chains.
Chained down just for 6 or 8 hours while we play my game and tell my story and the railroad. Woohoo!
My safe word is apples, Randy.
I took a drink, Patrick. That was not good. Could have spit that all over the screen. Oh, goodness.
Is that an inside joke with the apples in particular?
No, just
No.
safe words. I'm tying
Safe
everybody
words.
down.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
I was being funny.
so maybe Joe's right. Maybe challenge is just
Yeah, we're not talking about having some set CR.
point blank's right. My game is awesome.
Yeah, they are. They're a lot of fun. We're not talking about needing a CR system like they tried in 3rd edition that really didn't work all that well. We're not talking about anything like that. We're just talking about what does challenge mean for us? What do we like? And how can you accomplish that? And I'm going to add another thing. Does it need to be uniform throughout the game world, throughout every session? Does every encounter need to involve the same level of challenge? Do you have some sort of ebb and flow? I think an ebb and flow is better than having every situation you get into is balls to the wall. I think that's.
I emphatically agree.
Yeah.
I despise everything being static and everything being uniform.
Right.
Yeah. And I think it's also important. I said it before, and I didn't take this to heart when 3.5 during my 7 Spheres campaign. We were in the midst of 3.5. It was really heavy, and the players were really good at building characters. They were always making their characters. So it was kind of an escalation. They made their characters tougher because I made tougher challenges. But I think it's a good idea to throw them some softballs every now and again.
Sometimes the challenge, kill ravens. Sometimes the challenge should be for them to realize the situation above their pay grade. Yeah, that's a tactical thing. And I mentioned tactics earlier. Tactics is on the player end, not the character end. Unless your character has the tactics skill and you roll a die and now you're all tactical and it gives you some advantage. We're not talking about that. We're talking about, when I say tactics, I'm saying that the players use their head when they're planning their next steps. And that's challenging the players. I have to deal with my doggy who is whining. So you guys talk amongst yourselves for a little while.
You've got 2 passages through the mountains. One is a relatively light and easy path, but it's the long way around. The other is the short path, but it's right past the ancient red dragon's cave. You're all level 3.
Yeah.
Which path do you take?
Long way around, please. Mac Thompson said something that kind of rings true. He says, truth be told, I always ignored the CR system. I think he's referring to 3rd edition. I didn't need it since I've been playing since basic. You know what, Mac? It's interesting. That's true. And I think I could have done it as well. But I was fascinated by the fact that it was even included. And I thought, are they actually telling me how I can build quote unquote fair encounters? And it just fascinated me for a while until I realized it really wasn't that good and had tons and tons of problems. So
Al asks about how about challenging players. I don't know about that. Some players are challenged by, requiring them to, have the basic rules down. We've played with a couple people who just refuse to learn. the rules and how their character plays.
Yeah. Iron Man says, I prefer to challenge players by using things that players don't know, such as it takes tree sap to kill a troll, not fire. The players wouldn't know it, so they don't have to pretend not knowing fire. Yeah, I think it's fine. I would argue that might be challenging. It is challenging the players, Iron Man, but you're challenging them to learn your campaign world, which I think is good. Yeah. And I'm with Killraven. I think he says, in my campaigns, the world is what it is. Things aren't level gated. They take a wrong turn. Things can go sideways fast. Yep.
I am all for that.
Yeah. I don't like it to be too predictable. What? What are you looking at?
L says, have I thought about beating those players?
Oh, Flady. That's Flady, not L, right?
Oh, Flady. I am so sorry.
Yeah.
Have you thought of beating those players? On occasion. Again, they need to give me a safe word first.
Mr. Boivin says players should challenge themselves to be better role players. I think some players need that. Other players, not so much. It also depends on what you want to play. What were you really, Patrick? You proposed this idea of the challenge in the game, and you're a game designer at Pointy Hat Games. So how do you approach that? Is that near? Joe and I have spent the last couple episodes. We've done setting for a campaign, we've done combat mechanics, and we've talked about magic. Is that one of the things, the challenge of the game? Do you think about that as you design it, or is that one of the last things you worry about?
It's kind of one of those things I kind of put on a back burner. I would like a game to be challenging, but I try thinking of it as, what game do I think is fun, and then, see what people kind of latch onto that game. And as far as challenge rating goes, I think challenge rating is a good thing, especially if you want a basic framework, but by no means do I think challenge rating should be anything like Word of God.
No, but it's like, I think about this. I think it was Mac had mentioned, he said, I think he was referring to challenge ratings. I think it was for new DMs, really. I believe that was what he was referencing. And I feel like when you make a new game, if you don't have something to guide the DM, even experienced DMs, sometimes an ogre in one game is not an ogre in another game.
Mm-hmm.
For example, at least in the world, an ogre in the Dresden Files book series is vastly different than an ogre in D&D worlds. A Greyhawk ogre would get stomped into the ground by an ogre from the Dresden Files. I don't know if you've read that book or not. Harry had an impossible time with Harry Dresden had an impossible time with an ogre. So
yeah, I've seen ogres be like titans, in some settings where they're just like 7 feet tall, Andre the Giant looking guys.
Oh, L says a good thing. And there's a challenge, a good DM guide. Yeah, I think that's where this discussion probably belongs, in the DM section, don't you?
Yeah.
Talking about challenging the players, all the different levels, mentioning the political intrigue. Even, I think you should talk about how you might challenge the players themselves. You could even bring up, like Boivin said, make them good role players. If you have your own perspective and you want to put that in your book instead of leaving it generic role play, you might say, hey, I think characters need to step in and take on the role of the fighter and be the fighter. Or you could say, take on a character, personality traits, whatever you think. That could be part of your primer for your new players, right?
Yeah, I think Flady has the right of it. Game design for general consumption should have some training wheels installed for new players that can be discarded as experience as gain.
Yeah, right.
I mean, essentially that's how D&D was built. you know, you have your basic set, which is like levels 1 through 3, and that, you know, has everything you really need to play. And expert is where all of your fine tuning goes.
Yeah, I think yeah, that's something I guess and I never thought about when I started playing. I just did what I did, and whatever happened happened. I followed modules. Modules are a good way to train young DMs. Give them adventures and say, here's how an adventure should be, but you probably need a little more guidance than here's one module.
I know modules are a dirty word sometimes amongst this crowd, but I like modules. I really do.
Oh, I love them. I don't think they're a dirty word. You should. I think they're awesome.
Especially since you've written one.
Oh, well, a teensy one, but yes, thank you. I have written one.
Hey, 99% of the gaming community has not done that.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Hoping to write 2. I got a second one tapped up. It's going to be for a different game system. So,
all right. Well, when you need the artwork, give me the.
I will do, sir.
You can lowdown.
You can count on that. I'm trying to find the banners here so I can tell everybody to do the things, subscribe and like us and all that good stuff. Here we go. Is this the one that we use? I can't remember. Ha ha!
Subscribe.
Yes, you catch us on all the different media, social media stuff. I haven't been as good on X as I had planned to be, but I do definitely like to get on there. But subscribe to the channel, share, like us. If you don't like us, tell your enemies they might like us. So Shadow says modules are hit and miss for him. Yeah, they can be.
Yeah, it depends on what your attack bonuses are and what kind of D20 you're rolling.
Yeah. Do you purchase many modules? This is kind of a side topic, but since Joe's gone, let's discuss it. Do you purchase them yourself very much?
Mm-hmm.
You do?
Yeah, I do. And I know this sounds cheesy, but sometimes I will buy a module purely just to read the story in it.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, it's fuel for me.
And you can mine them for encounters. You can be like, dude, I loved how those vampires attacked the village at night. I want to do
story
that.
beats. Yeah. Story beats are really good in modules.
We got till we kind of finished the topic, Joe. It was winding down. I told them to subscribe, and they did.
Oh,
Everybody out there subscribe. So we have 9 million subscribers. That's really
I was
cool.
going to bust in here and say, what you talking about, Willis? Because I didn't hear anything.
And if you want to give my homies money, yeah, they have links for that too.
Links will be in the description. We're going to cut out our rambly, uninteresting diatribe at the very end, except to do the outro, which I skipped last week.
That's all right. That leaves them yearning for more. Elle says I need to review what is this? Randy must now review the module The Forest Oracle as a solo video. Okay.
I don't know that module.
I don't know. He's probably being funny. He's making a funny. I don't know that one. So
it's probably like Horse Girl or something.
Oh geez. Oh no. Yikes.
Modules help teach pacing.
They can. Yeah, I think modules they're great to have. I'll be honest with you. I feel a little cheated if I buy a new system and they don't at least have a beginning adventure in the back. I know purists will say, just make up your own stuff. I can, but I'd like to see what they intended in case some rules that I didn't quite grok come into play. And like, oh, that's the intention of that rule.
Right. So they can offer a framework for you to start doing your own thing. Right. So you look at a module. This is how the designers of the game intend the game to work on some level. And then it's something instead of just saying do your own thing without any guidance whatsoever. You have a module. You look at that, and then you can even start saying, yeah, I don't agree with how this is structured, but this is how I would do it after you've done it a few times, instead of not having anything at all to go with.
Charlotte Williams asked, do I want to know? Do I want to know, or should I be scared about Horse Girl? Yeah, if you want to look it up, you can. It's
a waste. It's a waste of your time.
It is, Charlotte.
It's a waste of bandwidth putting it into Google.
Yeah. There's nothing redeeming about it, except maybe some laughter. That's it.
No.
From that away.
No. Max says, horse girls, is that like, no, it's not that bad,
No.
but it's bad. It's not that bad. Oh, Mac. Woo, dude. Why don't we slide into this other topic we've been trying to get to now? Patrick might want to chime in. We had some.
One last thing
Sure,
on
go ahead.
modules.
Hit us.
And maybe it's a small thing, but don't be so arrogant as to think that the only good things from gaming only come out of your head.
Yeah.
Give them a try.
I'm looking up Forest Oracle. Oh, it's not too.
What was in 1?
Oh, interesting. I don't remember. I used to know a lot of those by letters. I don't know them so much anymore.
Do we know what the N series was apart from N2?
I don't know. I know the B series. I know the G series. I know a few others. I used to know a lot of them, but not anymore. I've lost the track of that. Okay. Shall we move on to the next topic then?
Let us move on.
So after our first magic discussion, Under Ilfarn, I think you're right.
I haven't heard of that one either.
Maybe. I don't really know. That sounds like a Forgotten Realms one, though. I'm not sure if Forest Oracle was FR. So I know it's $20 to $25 on eBay. So
those weren't like the British arm of, because there were a few that were created by folks across the pond. Oh, I didn't know that. Cool.
Okay.
And it's for novice.
Yeah. So when we talked about the magic system, Joe had a few additional thoughts. You want to kind of talk about what you were thinking about with the magic system and how some things that kind of popped into your head?
Right. So we talked about it.
Fellow wizard here to
UK series. Was that what they were called, Mac? The UK 1 or UK 2? Because there were some UK modules.
David Gwill says N1 was against the cult of the reptile god, which I knew that one.
Oh, that I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Salt Marsh. Okay, Salt Marsh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
So instead of just talking about magic systems in some abstract way without any direction, I think our original premise is, where do you start system-wise, and what house rules would you apply?
Yeah, we did talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so that's kind of our foundational thought, I think. We don't say it a lot, but that's what's in the back of my mind, at least. And so starting with 1E, because I like the spells mainly.
Well, you have more choices for sure than you did in basic.
Right. And in 3rd edition, they split up a lot of the spells into multiples. Like,
yes.
In AD&D, you could have light and you could reverse it.
Yep.
In 3rd edition, they were 2 separate spells.
Right.
Because the mantra was each spell does one thing, except they broke that one liberally. Anyway, so starting with on AD&D, magic as a base, and add the following. And we're basically talking about using the same spells, basically. Might have to fiddle with them a little bit.
It's not even
throwing out the pseudo-Vancian junk and using instead, using spell points or magic points or mana points, whatever you want to call them. You use a point system, perhaps using an activation check. That may not be for all of them, but you might need them for some. That it's an alternative. Let's see. Oh, as an alternative to using phased combat, instead you have your spells broken into 3 different categories. One, I'm calling it invocations. It's basically you cast it as an action, as an attack. Incantations, they just take longer to cast, so you can be interrupted. And then ritual spells, like Wish, in my mind, would be a ritual.
Sure.
Permanency would be a ritual, and things like that. they're not for combat because they take way too long.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just throw out the whole magic phase in combat. I don't like phased combat. I think it's kind of silly. It's a remnant of the old warfare simulation games.
Yeah.
And use attack rolls instead of saves when you can. Right.
It keeps the spellcaster active, especially with combat spells.
Right.
Hey,
right.
I want to give a shout out to one of our peeps here. Bruce from Dick's Division came in. He had to get in. It's late. We finished the discussion, but he's bringing it in. Even with 8 people, I find challenges for them are most easily to orchestrate. Step 1, buy the advanced bestiary. You know it. Read it monthly. Step 2.
Every
battle
episode.
arena big enough. Right on, dude. Every time he brings it up, we are putting it up on the screen. You can count on that, brother. We love it too, even though I don't own it. I love that you own it.
Right. And then so the last.
Oh, hold on. Let David Will comment on your. He goes, I think phase combat can make sense. Yes, but would be convoluted and it does slow things down in my opinion.
Yes. And that's how AD&D, well, old D&D, definitely the basic and all that. You had your ranged and your magic. Maybe magic was first and then ranged and then melee. And there was another phase or 2 stuck in there. It was kind of weird. Anyway, so yeah, attack rolls instead of saves when you can for attack spells. So you cast a fireball, you make an attack roll, and that affects everybody in the area of effect. Magic missile might be the exception because it's supposed to be automatic hit. Now, if you were talking about spells that control people's minds or are enchantment kind of spells like sleep, then that's where you would get your save. I mean, you could justify an attack roll with that too.
Yeah, but I think
I think that's more where resistance would come into effect.
Yeah. I like you categorizing the spells. The combat spells are invocations. Interruptible spells you called incantations, and rituals that are not really for combat. I think that's good. I wonder a little bit if spell points and a spell check are too much.
It might be.
What do you think about that, Patrick? Is that too onerous for a wizard to have spell points and to have to make a spell check every time he casts a spell?
I don't think so.
No.
But I mean, if you're designing a role playing game, you might want to put out in the open, hey, a wizard is an advanced player class. You know, newbies need not apply.
It might be. In a lot of games, the wizards aren't, unless they're like that, because it's, hey, I'm playing a wizard, I'm casting this spell, but all it does is 2d6 to one person, and most of the spells are kind of like that. They're not very.
I mean, 13th Age puts their classes into levels of complexity. It's like beginners, you'll have a good time, playing like the barbarian or the ranger because they don't have a lot of fiddly bits with their combat.
Right.
And you have like the medium difficulty with like the fighter. And then it's like advanced players may want to try being a wizard. You're going to have a lot of stuff to have to, keep track of. But it might bring different types of players together. Some people might just be there for a basic experience, and therefore they'll be happy just playing a basic character. Whereas somebody else who wants a little more of a mental challenge for playing the game, but not intrude too much on the gameplay itself, can play something like a wizard where, yeah, he has to keep track of all these extra things, but it's not going to force other people to have to do it and won't intrude too much on the gameplay, but it's still a complex character to play.
Killraven's got a good comment. It might be interesting to think about. He says for spell checks, you should have them apply the highest level or 2 they can cast, so some of their best spells, and consider lower ones as mastered.
Right.
I've always thought that was a neat concept of getting to master spells, maybe insofar as you don't even, really have to memorize them anymore. You can just do them.
Right. And then there's a way to do that within a spell level if you even have that in
Right.
the system. So first level spells, maybe because in the body of first level spells, they're not all of the same power level.
No.
So you have ventriloquism and you have sleep. Those are not equal. Those are not equal in any sense of the word.
Well, I was actually
You could have one where you don't need you'll never require an activation check. Even a first level caster, yeah, I can just ventriloquize. But I just made up another word. But sleep will require an activation check because, especially in first edition, you can just wipe out entire hordes of creatures with that spell.
Yeah. You're calling, where you mentioned it multiple times where you could get away. You would love the idea of getting away from levels of spells and just have spells. I deep down want to rewrite, as much as I said no, but deep down I probably do want to rewrite all the spells and not. No, I'm gonna rephrase that. I want to write spells that are like some of the ones that I like, but I could get with the idea of not leveled and just have different spell point cost and spell check requirements. Then you wouldn't need levels. There would just be some spells you couldn't access at a certain point because you don't have enough spell points to get it.
If I may interject with spell points and no spell levels, Shadowrun does that. Spells are spells are spells. There's no like master level spells or novice spells or anything like that. If you know Mana Bolt, you just know Mana Bolt. And as you gain more power as a mage, your Mana Bolt's going to hit heavier, but you choose what force you want to cast the spell at, and the force will determine its drain, or in your game's case, spell point cost. It's like, okay, I can safely cast this fireball at like level 2. Or level 4. It's not a third level spell. It's just a fireball, but I'm going to cast it at power level 4. I can safely cast it like that, and it's going to do this much damage, and I'm going to have to pay X number of spell points for it. If I wanted to, if I get more powerful or skilled as a mage, I can cast it at power level 5, and it'll do a greater effect, more damage, might light you up on fire, but it's still going to cost more. Whereas if I just want to rein it back a little bit, I can cast these fireballs at power level 1. Sure, they won't have the big kick that my Force 5 one does, but I'll save on the spell points.
I may need to do something later, a little more resource management. That sounds like a fun thing, and I think most players that like Wizards would enjoy that freedom to make a decision on how much they want to squeeze into there. So,
I think you have my attention and Joe's.
Right, and I have my own attention. I wrote. I might post it in the show notes. I have I showed it to Randy. I think I showed it to you last week in the comments. That different kind of light spell.
Yes.
So it's basically a candle-sized flame you have in your hand.
Yes.
And if you last the whole day, and if you use a particular gemstone in the casting of it, the flame's attached to the stone, and you can set the stone down and walk around and do other things, but still have the light there. As long as you stay within the sphere of light, it lasts.
If you learn the proper spell secret, maybe the light will actually reveal invisible objects.
Yeah.
Right. That could be more power points or whatever. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all good.
Yeah. And Elle makes a comment. He says every spell can't scale. Well, they could, but sometimes it would get weird. I think there would be some
scale light.
Well, no, you could. No, I'm not saying that. I think Elle's making.
I just did.
No, I'm not saying that, and he's concurring. He says you're on it. I'm saying L's point is there might be some spells that don't scale.
Sure.
There might be some spells
Ventriloquism.
that
We'll make that not scale.
they just do a thing, or even permanency.
Permanency. It does its
scale.
thing.
It does its thing. I mean,
It makes a spell permanent.
but
Let's see. Shadow and Sun asks, "How does Wish or Raise Dead scale?"
It doesn't.
How I would do it.
Wish.
Wish. If you want a smaller wish, you have a lot lower of a list of options that
scale
you can
down.
do.
Yeah, you can
And
scale
then
down.
if you want to scale it up, you can start shooting for the moon as far as what you want to do with your wish. Raise Dead. If you don't cast it at a certain level of strength, you may raise somebody and they take a permanent penalty to their hit points, or
they're
like
weak when they
the
come
old
out.
school punishments for being raised from the dead.
So haste ages you a year unless you pump some more points into it. Yeah.
And Raise Dead could also scale based upon what if he's been dead for 1 day versus 1 hour versus 1 year versus a decade. It could cost more points to be able to pull that off, and it may turn it from. And you may have something like the fifth edition have a spell called Revivify or something that could get them up if they're not too far. If you use negatives, if they're barely hurt, save them from death, or if they've been obliterated, maybe you have to scale it up to a certain level of power to get their body back.
Right. You got to find a toenail at least. You have to be a long search for that battlefield to find dude's toenail. But yeah, I agree with that. We got some good stuff here.
Maybe cantrips don't scale. And maybe ventriloquism would be a cantrip.
Yeah, it sounds more like a cantrip anyway.
Yeah. Bruce says, don't sleep on Dungeons and Delvers 1E. It has wizards, sorcerers, warlocks, plus bars. A lot of options for arcane magic users. Yeah, we need to get that to the table. I need to see how that plays. I've been saying that for a long time, but I got a Horde Wars thing I got to do first.
We all have books, don't we?
We three do. So
I have the D20.
Guess version. We know the players at the table.
We all have the D20 version, right? Not the
yes.
I have the D20 version.
And 2E's probably is 2E still probably a year away, David, or more? I wonder if he would answer that. I don't know if he's still around. I wonder if he's still a year away from 2.
All right, so Gate is what level spell? Is that a 9th level spell?
In most D&D versions, it's 9th, yeah.
So you could scale that one down. So because the 9th level version is a way to get somewhere, as well as a way to call someone forth, right, to you, and that's very dangerous. So you could
also gatekeep that spell by saying that. At lower levels, only certain planes can be contacted.
Right. So you scale it down to eliminate the summoning part of it, and it's just a way to get somewhere. Yep. And it's perhaps it's only
like a fancy dimension door with more people to go through.
Yeah, because you take out the summoning part, and it's a lower level spell.
Yeah, I think you'll be hard pressed. There are some spells that I still think would be hard pressed to scale, but with creativity, with people, there are multiple minds working on it, you could definitely scale a lot of spells.
What's the tentacle one?
Evard's Black Tentacles.
Yeah. So that would be a bigger or smaller area, higher or lower strength requirement.
You could marry that with Entangle. Entangle could be the low level version of it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, instead of just using the roots, all of a sudden tentacles come from the ground. All of a sudden they're very strong.
Higher level, they'll squeeze the life out of you.
Yeah, you could do all sorts of stuff.
Instead of relegating to druids to just the plant version, they like animals too. So
they like tentacle animals.
Yeah,
they like octopi.
Sure.
Evard's magical octopi tentacles.
What if even a higher version of it? Not only do you have the area of effect that you can cast on other people, maybe you grow tentacles out of you as well. And then you can grab people that are around you.
Yep.
Evard's tentacle hentai.
Oh jeez. No thanks. I don't like regular anime. I don't want pornime.
So Shadow and Sun is up my alley because I love me some teleport. Best spell in the world is teleport. Prove me wrong. I've always loved teleporting.
It's pretty top notch, dude. I won't argue. So,
And then if you want to scale that, teleport is the far away version, and blink's your lower level version.
plane travel is your really high level version.
Yeah. And
That's connected
somewhere
to gate.
in there is Dimension Door.
And you could marry gate with teleport. That's just kind of
Yeah.
a family. I've always thought you could. That's one of the best ways to do it, is condense a lot of those spells into one, and then have them different effects depending on where you cast them. Right. Let's see here. I don't know if
Like fireball and delayed blast fireball, those should be the same spell.
yeah, agreed.
What's that?
It's like fireball and delayed blast fireball should be the same spell.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. And the delayed part would get ignored most of the time because it's mostly useless.
Joe's one of his least favorite spells. Delayed crap fireball.
At least at the level that they put it.
Yeah.
1 point of damage more, it goes to 4 levels higher. Awesome.
Yeah, and the best thing about the idea of categorizing spells in terms of combat, casting, and incantation and rituals, that could be part of the scaling. That as you scale them, you got to do. It takes longer to make a haste spell affect your whole party. You're not just going to do that in combat. And maybe if you really wanted to do. What?
Haste is a combat spell.
No,
So
I'm
if you take
saying
it from-
you can cast it on somebody or cast on yourself, but to cast in the whole party, you may have to do it just before combat starts.
Haste could also very much
I'm not saying you have to. I'm saying that's just an
expedite
idea.
overland
It could be a
travel.
poo-poo idea. It just came
What's
on
that?
the top of my
What's that?
head.
I said haste could very much expedite overland travel.
Yes.
Oh, sure. You
It'd be funny to watch.
yeah. Well, you could especially if all you did was you changed it to where only thing it does is increases your speed, your movement rate, nothing else. So that would be a different version of it, and then it lasts longer. I don't think it would deserve a 1 year draining your age hit.
Oh,
I don't really think haste should be taking a year off either. It's kind of
Yeah, maybe. Mac Thompson says I'm possibly a terrible groupie. Oh, are you two in the midst of creating a game, like we have a concept. Well, we talk about a lot of things. We have a lot of ideas. I have some put to paper. We have a lot floating in the ether, but ideally, yes, that will happen at some point. Yes. I don't think I had anything to add to magic. Maybe you guys do. You're the magic.
Well,
people.
you have some stuff here that you added.
Oh, did I? Oh, I did add some stuff. Well, it was more but that was more about the scaling, if you notice, right? Like
Yeah, it's scaling.
Yeah. So, I've kind of talked about that. Rituals take anywhere from minutes. Oh, how would you like a spell that took years to prepare? As long as it was worth it, it might be cool.
It would have to be worth it. I can't think of a single spell in AD&D that's worth 2 years of prep.
Armageddon.
Maybe Wish. You could think. I mean, Wish has some pretty big implications, so I could see that maybe taking a long prep. But yeah,
Hell, spells
Armageddon.
that take that long to prepare our campaigns in and of themselves.
Yeah, gathering components and whatnot.
Waiting for the planets to align.
Kidnapping just the right virgins, from the right countries, green-eyed ones in particular.
Bruce Lombardo, my favorite spell from Hackmaster.
Oh,
Nuclear winter.
I've never read it, but I love the name. I only know it from Nights at the Dinner Table.
It's like 10d6 damage to like a mile radius. That and the bouncing Betty and Sidewinder fireballs are all pretty cool too.
It can be.
Mac is not wrong. And
Wish
it's even the rules. So Wish is a dick bite spell if you have a wicked, smart, sadistic DM. And because it's even written, I think in AD&D that
encourage you to screw the
or you have Randy as a DM. I mean, that would be crap.
I don't know if I'm wicked smart, but I am sadistic sometimes, a DM. So
it's like, right. I wish for a staff of the Magi. Randy says, go bark up another tree.
No, here it is. No charges.
Now that's an old reference. I bite was a spell
Ooh, yeah,
back
it
in
was.
the day.
What did that do? It did several things, didn't it?
I can't remember.
Just
Yeah.
required you to have eye contact.
But you could do multiple things with like plant a suggestion, and do this, and it had like 4 or 5, maybe 6 things it could do. So
Gesh, but better.
Poof,
Oh.
you're in Elminster's vault. Yeah, that could easily be the result of a wish.
that's
I
my
wish I
dude.
had this. Well, it's in Elminster's vault. You're there, and he's not happy about you being there.
You could, dude. I think Gygax said this. If you say, "I wish I had a staff of the Magi," and then you would remember a time when you did.
Say that again.
If you said, "I wish I had a staff of the Magi," and then poof, you remember a time when you had
Yeah.
a staff of the
You had it
Magi.
Way
That
back
would
in the
be
day.
so bad.
My wife has an
Uh,
interesting question.
Whoa, what does she got?
So would racial abilities like hide blood, teleport, and 13th age be similar to cantrips?
That sounds a little boss for a cantrip, but I guess it all depends on
Well-
what you're defining a cantrip as.
Yeah,
Yeah.
5th edition version of cantrip may be.
Yeah.
But,
Maybe if they were like the aforementioned like mastered abilities, you can master it to a point where it kind of becomes a cantrip for you.
perhaps.
Shadow and Mac both are interested in possibly looking at our stuff. We will definitely keep you guys in mind once we get something where we're thinking about. It could be our mud sword. Should it actually become a thing? So
I
there's so
show
much-
my stuff to very few people.
Joe does. Don't lie, Joe. We know how you are. At
You're an
Cabin Con.
exhibitionist.
We know how he is at Cabin Con, don't we, Patrick?
Yeah.
Very few people. He's showing his stuff all the time. Quit showing your stuff, dude.
Max says, I smell a proofing team forming. Yes, everybody who makes a freaking game needs proofreaders.
We do. Oh my
There's
God.
not enough of that going around.
Yeah.
I have an English degree,
We'll
and the
pay you-
first thing I learned was you never edit your own stuff because you will miss things.
Oh, I think we got a playtest group forming. David Gwill says, "Oh, if you guys are looking for feedback on Mud Sword, he's game." All right, cool. Yeah, once we get something really well, we got lots of playtesting ourselves to do because we're forming this beast as we play. So, but anywho, hey, should we tell them about the contest, Joe? Is it about that time?
Yeah, it's that time. Go ahead.
All right, so we have purchased 12 PDFs of Horde Wars by Blackwall Games. It is going to be the D12 Days of Horde Wars. Over the Christmas holiday, starting now, we're going to give away 12 PDFs over the next 3 to 4 weeks. If you want one, please let us know. We will need your email so we can share that with Blackwall Games so they can always give you updates. That's part of the deal. Okay, I don't know what else saying, but anyway. So we're going to do this over the next 3 to 4 weeks. Tonight, I would like to get 3 to 4 people who would like a copy. I don't know how Joe wants to do this. In case we get a lot of people, we may have to just write them down and then do a random roll and get an email from them. How do you want to do this tonight, Joe?
Okay, so everybody who wants to be in the random determination,
yep,
type in the number 1 in chat, and then we will just count out how many responded and roll a die. That's all we got for today. It's just something that we came up with recently, so we didn't.
All right,
yeah,
cool.
We got 2 people so far.
Excellent.
Darth Theok, that
right.
is exactly what I am referring to.
Very cool. Oh, yay. Lots of people. Good. We'll be able to give these away. That's cool. All right. Should I write these down, Joe, or what should we do? You just want to wait till we get done and take a look?
Yeah, we're going to give folks another, let's say, a little over a minute. We got time. I got the time up here. It's almost 1:35, hour and 35 minutes.
Yeah. Horde
And
Wars
1
is
minute from now.
Horde Wars basic, so it's the basic game, and we've got 12 copies we want to give away, and we will eventually need email addresses. How are you going to collect those, Joe? Just send them us. They'll need to send us an email whenever we decide on a winner.
Yeah. So I'll just say send the email that they want to use to my email.
Yes. So we got 4, we got 6, we got 7 people tonight. We will do this again next week. 8 next week, the week after, and we'll keep giving 3 away until they're gone. Is it for the 1.12 version? Is that for Horde Wars he's talking about?
I'd have to look it up. It'll be the latest one.
He will always Blackwall guaranteed us he would always send out free updates.
Yes, we're going to pass along who all the winners are to Blackwall, and he will automatically update your. He will send an update out to you automatic. Well, as automatic as he can, being a non-robot.
If you win, Shadow, you can send it via messenger. Yes, you can.
Sure.
Send it to either me or Joe. We'll get it. All right. You want to give them how much more time, Joe, before we?
I think we're good.
It is not a miniature game. It's an RPG, and it's pretty concise, well-made, fun game, smooth mechanics, interesting way to build characters with kind of 2 options. And best of all, it's going to be free, so it won't cost you a dime.
Do you want another option to send to your email rather than send it to my email? That's fine. If you want to post it in the Discord,
yep,
that's fine. I think you joined last week, didn't you? Anyway, if you want to send it in Discord, that's cool. So yeah, I think we have 8 people. How many do you want to give out tonight?
Why don't we give out 3?
Okay.
You want me to roll, or you want to roll? You got a dice handy?
I'll roll. I have die. I have die handy. So we'll
just go down the line 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so starting with the first one being Cal. So you roll.
2. I rolled a 2.
Shadow and Sun.
Shadow and Sun gets 1.
Yep. Roll it again. Got 7. D8 minus 1. Starting again with Cal is 1. Legion is 2.
Cal.
All right. Cal gets another one. Let's give one more away, dude. We'll
Shadow
start with
Sun,
Legion of Myth
Cal.
is now 1. Legion of Myth is now 1. Roll a D6.
Okay, I'm going to roll that one over again.
Yeah, I don't want to give it to him. What? What are you doing?
All right, there we go. I'm keep rolling 1s and 2s. All right.
Oh, dude. Oh, you could have done. Okay, that's fine. You could roll a D6. That's fine. What'd you get?
I guess I could have.
What'd you get? What'd you
I'll
get?
do that. I rolled a 7.
That's all right. We'll skip to the 7th person.
Okay.
So we got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 will be Charlotte. So Charlotte Williams has 1. So Charlotte and Cal and Shadow and Sun. Next week we'll give 3 more away. So that was complicated. So I'll write that.
I'm going to give
I'm friends with several of these folks on the Facebook. So I can probably, you guys contact Joe or however you, whatever's easy for you. Whatever's easy. So Cal 1, Shadow 1, and Charlotte 1. So there you go.
You are all wieners.
And there is Biggest Geekest email. Mm-hmm.
You can send it to that email. If you're a member of the Discord, you can post it in Discord.
Yep. Don't trust Meta with
that email is everywhere. I don't care.
Don't worry. We'll be doing this again next week and week after. Merry D12 days of Christmas. Because Horde Wars is a D12 system. I thought that was good. I liked it.
Okay, so I'm going to make sure
D12 days
before we leave,
my DM gave to me
tonight that I have these emails.
Look for Cal's on Discord, Joe. All right. Oh, Meta is Zuckerberg says, don't give your important information. Well, isn't Meta? Is Meta going to be part of Facebook eventually? Am I going to have to leave Facebook? Doesn't Zuckerberg owe that too?
What? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just put an email that is everywhere in the internet. It's not sensitive.
Right.
Okay. Let me go over to Discord.
Yeah, Patrick can probably actually sing, unlike me, but I fear no singing.
I was in the choir.
I was not, and I was probably a good decision that they did put me in. Oh, Meta is Facebook. Okay. Well,
Yeah, Meta.
Patrick, are you alive?
Okay.
What happened, dude?
No, I just have a thieving cat. Morton Kanan,
He's up to something.
strike one.
Yeah. Yeah, Horde Wars is fun. It's a very fun. You'll enjoy it. It definitely plays. I think it plays fantastically as a one-shot. We're about to see if it plays well as a campaign. So we have a good time with that. The Horde Wars guys, I believe, are coming to Cabin Con again. So we have a great Cabin Con. We'll have an update to that after the new year.
Hal has not, but will Discord.
Yes. Shadow will probably send it to you in Messenger.
And then
Charlotte
has it in the email that you can send me your email in.
Yes.
Or you can join our Discord, and I will post an invite if that's what you would like to do. Let's see, where are we at?
Mac Thompson says, I was in choir once. I got kicked out for singing the style of Motorhead. I never was allowed in, so you were one step ahead of me. Laga. What is that from?
Log.
Oh, what is that? Spinal Tap.
What?
That was from Spinal Tap, where they're like log. Wasn't that Spinal Tap?
I don't remember that.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying I don't remember it.
Maybe it was Bad News. That was good. So, all right. What do you think, man? It's 9:12. This might be a good time to wrap this puppy up.
Wrap it up, put it in a bow.
You are speaking, Joe, but you may be silent.
I forgot to unsilent me.
Uh-huh.
Oh, so yeah, I've posted a Discord invite link. So for those who are not in Discord and don't want to use the email, to go head over there to the Biggest Geekest Discord. Let's see, there's a lot of channels. What channel should we put it in? Probably just the general RPG chat.
There you go. We'll try to give 3 every week until the Christmas time. Hopefully everybody should have a good chance for almost everybody that was here tonight to win. So that'll be fun. Yeah.
And what I'll also try to do is I will post this in the show notes, the invite and the channel to post. That way, if you forget.
Cal is in there now, so giving away lots of cool stuff. Where are we at on the subscribers? We're not on 500 yet, are we?
Subscribers? No.
Dang, we need to get 500. I can get rid of that.
Nice.
Get rid of that stupid Paranoia box set. It's burning a hole through my shelves.
You were going to say your butt. I could tell.
I wanted to, but I'm too couth for that.
Win.
Right.
We know you better than that.
Oh, Lady says 428. Dang it. We're not doing something right. We got to boost this channel. Oh, yeah, Mac. You not heard? Oh, it's been a long time. I have a standing offer. I think it's a Paranoia box set with second edition with all sorts of goodies in it that I found like dirt cheap that I'm giving away once we hit 500. 39 on Rumble. Ooh.
Next week, Mac Thompson
right on, Arn Man.
brings 80 new subscribers just so he can win the Paranoia box.
That's okay. I got to get rid of that.
At that point, you should probably just give it to him. He brings 80.
Yeah.
If Mac brings 80 new subscribers, I'm just giving it to him for sure.
Okay.
No, you don't need to snuff anybody. You need to bring more viewers.
Dude,
Congratulations,
Legion of Myth. Yeah, wow, 5K?
Congratulations.
Right on, dude. Big giveaway.
Woo!
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That's a nice sentiment, Shadow. He says we should be at 5,000, not a sub less. But you know, we are an acquired taste, apparently.
I think we are. I think we're not quite as cool as Legion, but we're trying.
Oh, I don't know.
He's a mark for us to shoot for.
We're not an acquired taste.
I think
We're
we are.
sweet as it is.
I don't think not to everybody. What does it say? What does that say? Randy, make a video 9 new rule 0. You'll hit 500. What does that mean? 9 on new rule 0. Oh, right. We're not doing
New
much of that
Rule
stuff.
0?
Yes.
We really stopped getting into the whole infighting thing because I don't care and Randy doesn't care.
Not really, but
Not really.
I know what else talking about though.
For the guy who also may not care, what is new rule 0?
Elle
Just
could probably
give me the 10,000 foot view.
So new rule 0. Now I'm laughing because I saw it on Tinkar the other night. I'm looking it up, dude. I'm laughing because I did hear it. It's something.
It's something woke. It's just you have to do this or that and have all the approved people at your table nonsense, I'm sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
So what Paizo tried to do with Pathfinder 2E.
Yeah, you just go to Tinkar, one of his last couple of little streams, and he talks about it.
Okay, I'm
Remember-
pretty sure it'll
See,
make me
it
angry.
it all runs together, so I just can't I can't care much anymore. Bruce Lombardo says, just follow WotC talking points for your titles and thumbnails, then just completely abandon that swill after 30s. Easy road to 1K. Real, that's probably true. Oh, here it is. L says, oh, thanks, Joe.
It's all fun. GM has no power to change rules unless the players give permission.
Sure.
You know, I really hate Mother May I situations. I'm getting really to not like that in the game. Just tell me what I'm supposed to be able to do. And that's even worse from the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Doesn't that make you feel good? I'm glad WotC is protecting the D&D.
You know what? Screw it. We should have gate kept the hobby better.
Hey, you should listen to Nerd Cognito. That's Ryan David's mantra.
Yeah, we can't do that. There's no way to do that. It's impossible. You can't stop people from buying books and playing games unless you would murder them, which we're not going to do.
You can just say you can't play at my game. You can't play at my
table. But that's it. They make their own table. They'll get on YouTube. We can't stop them from making their videos and their live plays.
But the problem is they tell us we can't have our own table.
Yeah, they say that, but we do it anyway.
Well, yeah.
I mean, most of them, they come up to us and tell us we can't do something. We'll push them over. I mean, they eat vegetables only.
Point Blank says he agrees with us, but that stuff boosts our subs. So if we were to be all negative and jump, are they saying? I think Bruce is saying act like you're talking about WotC stuff, and then eventually just stop.
Welcome to Biggest Geekus. We're going to talk about how much WotC sucks for the first 5 minutes.
Yeah. No, or we should say, welcome to Biggest Geekus. We're going to talk about the best monk build with the new monk that just dropped last week for 5e. And then say, here's the best build. Take your 5e book, toss it in the can, and play something else.
Transgender wheelchair slap fighting.
It's just, I mean, we could maybe work it in some kind of way where it's not the whole episode, but
I'm just tired of that.
Yeah,
WotC can do what they want. They don't. Here's the thing. People. I did. I used to talk about comics. I still read some. I just don't read much of the mainstream anymore. Now that they made all of them gay or trans or part of the Alphabet Mafia.
Lady says, vegetables. That's my food's food. I don't appreciate you eating that. The best plant-sourced meat is a cow.
Yeah.
Is cow. Well, and other plant-eating meat sources.
I think Green Apple's onto something here. He says when I'm on break, which will be soon, you can make some standalone videos. I think channels get punished for not uploading a lot.
I've heard that from other YouTubers that if you only
Oh.
post once a week, your subs aren't going to get very big. Yeah. And if you make 2-hour videos, people don't want to sit and watch 2-hour videos.
Yeah. Oh well,
But that's what we do.
Yeah.
We do both of those things.
We're rebels.
We're going against the grain.
Against the grain.
I don't care if you know what you're talking about. We're going to do our own thing.
Oh man, you guys ready to get the heck out of here? I feel like it's time. Patrick, thanks for showing up today, bud. We really appreciate you being here.
Pleasure.
And you guys can check out all the links. Joe's got them all down in the show notes and all the good places.
We'll have them.
He will have them. Not yet. Thanks for everybody for commenting. It was fun tonight. You guys made tonight really cool. I think that's it, huh?
Yes, I think we are like 90% done with Mudsword now.
We are. Well, this is Randy.
And this is Joe.
This is Patrick.
And remember, if you can't be big like us, then be geeks like us.